Game day's here, I can hear the crowd. Turn on the lights, fans are cranked up and loud. Red or blue, we wear it proud. Yeah, we love our teams in this border town. Chiefs and Royals, Boo Mizzou, Rock Chalk, Jayhawk, KU. Hear that drum pounding in your feet. Yeah, you're marching to the beat of KC.
What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? What is going on, Jayhawk Nation? And what is going on, everybody? And welcome to the beat of KC. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lucas Murphy, and I want to tell everybody watching this video, happy Valentine's Day. Hopefully, you all are enjoying your day, but I know how big of a challenge it could be as a Kansas basketball fan. For those of us that really dive deep and ingrain ourselves within this program, how we can fully enjoy this day after we get an absolute heartbreak in the Hilton Coliseum. We're going to take that narrative. We're going to tie everything we witnessed today into a breakup on Valentine's Day. So we're going to jump in. And like I said, a heartbreak at the Hilton Coliseum, love lost on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2026. What started as a celebration of love and an opportunity to keep the flame burning for another Big 12 push turned into a Valentine's Day heartbreak. The number 9 Kansas Jayhawks 8-game winning streak snapped in a 74-56 loss at the number 5 Iowa State, inside, obviously, the Hilton Coliseum there in Ames, Iowa. A scoreline that felt a little too cruel for a team that had been peaking just earlier. And obviously, you could go back and really look at the stretch of those 8 games and the teams we beat. And really, at times, it felt insurmountable. It felt like we truly were the underdogs in a lot of those cases. And this team just found ways. And it wasn't just really from who we were matching up against. It was who was able to play, who wasn't able to play. There was a lot of factors into that. So to have a really good 8-game winning streak, I think just speaks again to the fortitude of this team. And again, on a day usually reserved for roses and chocolates, the Jayhawks instead delivered up disappointment. And that's like going to a restaurant and expecting your date to show up, and they never do. They had ridden an impressive run that included a signature home win over top-ranked Arizona, a team that had every reason to feel confident and came into Allen Fieldhouse and really kind of expected to come into your house and upset you, and it was the complete opposite. And we did that without Darren Peterson. Now, Iowa State today, they seized control. It felt like, and this is just me being personal with you all. I truly sent a text to one of my buddies, and I said, I don't feel that this Iowa State team is scary. It just felt like early on in the beginning, Kansas was trying to find its footing. Iowa State was trying to find its footing. It really felt like one of those games where, the other team continuously kind of is slipping. Yes, they're finding momentum. They're finding ways to eventually score baskets just to stay in the game. But it felt like they were really just spinning the wheels, and the Kansas Jayhawks would find a way to just really come together and start scoring the basketball, playing good defense. And boy, was I wrong. Going into halftime, they ended up, I think they were up 10 points. And they ended up unleashing a decisive 27 to run to open the second half. The Cyclones' defense smothered Kansas's offense, forcing 13 turnovers, a category we are always identifying to see if we can win and how that truly contributes into a win or a loss. And in this case, it contributed a significant loss. It really just felt like a lot of mistakes. It felt like we were flat. It felt like this team had gone through a breakup. And I think one of the biggest things is KU was held under 32% shooting in the second half. And I think a lot of that Bill Self started to recognize. We started to get some subs in there. Cole Rosario got some minutes. We saw a decent amount of minutes from Marco Jackson. So I think he realized how this game was starting to flow. And I think he was like, you know what? We took this one on the chin, and we're going to get ready for Oklahoma State on the road. So I do want to highlight some of the players from Iowa State. And, Milan Momcilovic led the Cyclones with 18 points. Kansas, their fight was just absent. I mean, there was 2 players that I felt really contributed. Melvin Council Jr. paced the Jayhawks with 15. And Flory Badunga, ladies and gentlemen, battled for 11 points and 13 rebounds. He continues to average in these, stretches a double-double. Now, freshman Darren Peterson, he did return from that illness that he was experiencing. I think there's still probably some fatigue from that. I'm sure he's still having some lingering side effects. You don't just fully become healthy. I mean, I get that you have some very talented athletic trainers and ways to get you there, but he hasn't been practicing, and there's an aspect to that. He only managed 10 points in 24 minutes. I'm sure they're easing him back in, and he's also having to kind of get back into that basketball grind. So I think that's something to really pay attention to as we really kind of have a little break. We don't play again until Wednesday. We don't play till midweek. So this Valentine's Day is about love. We've talked about that. We've talked about the commitment and passion. Qualities Kansas has shown really all season. I felt the love. But on this Saturday in Ames, the Jayhawks discovered that even love can be tested by adversity. Their streak may have ended, but the hunger to bounce back will remain as the team looks ahead. Hearts bruised, but not broken. And I think that's important. That's important. I felt going into this game that this was going to be an extremely, extremely tough challenge. I even titled the video, Toughest Road Game. And I truly felt that. We have struggled year in and year out. To me, it just doesn't feel like whatever team we put out there, Ames, Iowa, the Hilton Coliseum, the environment, it just feels like they're always a tick better. They're more prepared on that day. It feels like we always play at like 11 a.m. or 12, right on the dot at noon. And these early games, just for whatever reason, kind of give us a hiccup. I truly felt like the Iowa State felt like they were coming off of a significant loss, which they were. They also felt that, that heat that was given when they came down Fieldhouse, and we just absolutely decimated them, kind of embarrassed them. And I felt like they wanted to take it out on us. They absolutely came out the gate of halftime just absolute blazing, hitting 3 after 3 after 3. I believe this Iowa State team is 3rd best in all of the country at shooting the 3 ball, and it was prevalent today in that second half, and that's really why they extended this lead out such a massive way. Kansas kind of started to chip. They came back and fought obviously back into it, but would still end up losing 74-56. In a market that never sleeps, one name rises above the rest. Lisa Miller from Miller-Lynch Real Estate. Trusted by hundreds and recognized across the Midwest, she delivers results when it matters the most. With over 13 years of experience and licenses in both Kansas and Missouri, Lisa isn't just selling houses. She's helping you find a place to call home. Whether you are a first-time home buyer, looking to upsize, or selling your current home, Lisa makes the process smooth and stress-free. As a local expert passionate about building lasting relationships, she ensures her clients feel confident and satisfied every step of the way. Don't wait, your perfect home is just a call away. Contact Lisa today at 913-579-3246 or 913-369-3000 or visit lisamillersaleskc.com. Let Lisa Miller at Lynch Real Estate help you start your next exciting chapter. And let her know the beat of KC, Lucas Murphy, sent you her way. They just stagnated our offense, so we're going to talk about that right now. Melvin Council Jr., 15. He led Kansas in scoring with 15, but efficiency and really that support just weren't there around him today. He was aggressive attacking the rim and really tried to create offense when possessions stalled. However, much of his production came while Iowa State had already built that momentum. The Cyclones forced tough contested looks, and Kansas struggled to generate clean perimeter shots to really complement Council's drives. I mean, he really did kind of try to keep us in this game. He did hit back-to-back-to-back threes at one point. It just really did not feel like it didn't matter. It just felt like the Iowa State Cyclones were just going to match those three-pointers and really just be more aggressive. Flory Badunga, ladies and gentlemen, I'm continuously being impressed by his performance. He went in there and just played the game that we expected. Now, did he get the points that we always like to see? No. But he got a double-double, and you cannot complain about that. He posted that double-double, which on paper looks strong. 13 rebounds. I mean, he absolutely got after it down in the box. You know, that shows that he was competing well with Jefferson. It shows his motor never faded, and he battled physically inside, and that's what you expect from the big man. I was excited to watch Flory, and I'll continue to be excited to watch Flory. I think, truthfully, we've seen his evolution this season. You know, early on, he really kind of struggled with the fouls and really anticipating guys going up to the basket, and he couldn't really determine when those guys were either pump faking or making moves to the basket, and he would obviously hack. He's really kind of studied that craft and has understood when guys, how they pump fake and when to really kind of stride with the offensive player going towards the basket, and he gets more blocks. He's not getting as many fouls. He's getting in position to rebound better. Flory has really taken a massive step, and we've witnessed that with our eyes this season. Darren Peterson, I feel like I've really provided you the exact same outlook as I would give in this aspect. You know, he's coming back from the illness. His rhythm wasn't fully there. He flashed the scoring ability at times, but really kind of looked sluggish. My good buddy that texts me all the time said that he truly looked like the freshman today, and I think that is a good way to define how he played. He just did not have the conditioning. He wasn't that X factor. His offensive stagnation, he just didn't shoot the ball well. There were often times in the first half where I felt like Iowa State's intent was to really spread out the floor and keep us away from even having the ability to dump it down low. They were really spreading us out wide and really kind of getting us into multiple looks where they had two defenders on one guy, forcing pressure. There were times where I felt like Darren could really use that opportunity to drive to the basket. Same with Melvin Council Jr., and we just never did that. I just felt like in this game, I wouldn't say we were necessarily outcoached. It just felt like our players just weren't there for this one. So when you look at it from a team perspective, again, I want to emphasize second half shooting under 32%. We had 13 turnovers in this game. Iowa State opened the second half with a 20-7 run. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the reason why this game really flipped upside down. That 20-7 stretch was a true dagger. Kansas entered halftime only down 37-27, and really even that did not feel like it was a great lead just because of how both teams really played in the first half. And I would say that was still within striking distance. But the opening minutes after the break created separation that Kansas never recovered from. And this is something I've talked about in multiple videos. Kansas comes out of halftime, and you can go back and look at every one of my videos. You don't even have to necessarily look at my videos. Go back and look at just how they come out after halftime. It is flat. It is cold. It is stagnation. It is just they cannot, for whatever reason, get the motor going. It's like a cold start in the morning, in wintertime when it's 10 degrees and you got to go out there and your truck or your car is just like, that's what I felt like all the time with this team coming out of halftime. We don't come out and have 27 to runs. We don't come out and really kind of extend massive leads. There's a lot of the time if we have a decent lead, it gets diminished. And a perfect example is the Iowa State game in Allen Fieldhouse. We were up like 20-something points, and they cut it down a decent amount, almost to 11 points, I believe. So if that tells you really kind of how Kansas has been playing in the second half, really the start, there's no that's why this game turned out the way it did in the second half. Now, Iowa State's difference makers, and again, we've talked about Milan Momcilovic. He had 18 points. He set the tone offensively. But more importantly, Iowa State's collective defensive discipline. And I think that's one of the big things I want to highlight is the fact that this was just a truly team effort. TJ had them playing extremely high-level defense. We can see that from them when it really matters the most. So wrapping up this video and tying it all back into Valentine's Day, because this is a lovely day for everyone except for Jayhawks fans, what the box score really says, this wasn't just a loss, it was a breakdown in offensive flow. Kansas's leading scorer had 15, not explosive production, only one double-digit rebounder, limit three-point rhythm, so we absolutely struggled. And again, offensive drought to open the second half. Another one. I can emphasize that a lot. When your win streak ends on the road in the Big 12, it's rarely about effort. It's about execution. The box score reflects a team that fought but couldn't generate sustained scoring runs against an elite defense. For a team that's been red hot, and I don't know if you all have had red hots, but holy cow, they can be spicy. This was a reminder. In February, details matter more than momentum, and we were burned on Valentine's Day. I appreciate y'all checking out this video. Make sure you guys smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and I end every video the exact same way. Have a good day. Happy Valentine's Day.